Steve, that was very generous as with everything you do, and thanks everyone else for coming out here tonight. I spent 2 very generative years there, and it's really very good to be back with so many friendly faces. Can you all hear me just fine?
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. So, yeah, I'll be reading 2 short works. One is an excerpt from Alien, which Steve just talked about a bit. And the other is just a short story, it's a short text, complete in itself. I'll start with that. It's called Scream. It's written in disconnected fragments and covers themes like cities, films, destruction, paranoia. I think that's about all of the context that you'll need for it, so I'll just go right ahead. Yeah, it's called Scream. His weapon of choice is a flare gun, used up close and in the face. There is a fetish of Scream. I mean, there is an aesthetics of it. It isn't innocent. Janet Leigh's Scream and Psycho made the movie. It is the secret of the film, its real key, the reason it did so well. It did so well that it annoyed Hitchcock, who called it a stupid film for which the money won't stop flowing in. He preferred The Birds, even Shadow of a Doubt. Both are good films, and maybe they're better than Psycho, but that's not the point. The point is that there is no Marion Crane in them, no Janet Leigh screaming in the shower, mouth hanging open in an O. We were talking about frenzy, I mean a friend and I. We had met after 10 years of silence and spite, and now in our shared city, our dead city, our city of spiders and ants, we were meeting in a cafe over coffee. We were talking about frenzy. It is, my friend was saying, her favorite film. As she said this, she chewed her lower lip. This was a new mannerism. I had no memory of it from the childhood we had spent together. I felt vain in those closed moments, sweating in the cafe. It would be demolished the next day, an accident no one believed in. Hoping I too looked reasonably changed, new, like someone who had been absent for a decade. The waiter arrived with more coffee. Frenzy, my friend was saying, is Hitchcock's best film. It is the film in which he most accurately and evocatively traces a violent aesthetic. Violent aesthetic was my friend's term for serial killings. Serial killings are first and foremost an effect of and on environments. Here my friend abruptly stopped and took a biscuit from the plate. Then she slid something across the table. It was a photograph, an old Polaroid print showing a woman's face shot from below, an angle that put in sharp contrast her jawline, chin, and neck. The surface of the photo had decayed with age, the image decomposing in a series of chemical dots. My throat felt raw and meaty. At night there are coyotes. Their howling passes through my skin. I grow cold, fatigued, ill. This air is not for me. This place belongs to my enemies. I watch TV to pass the time. Lying on my hotel bed, drinking coffee, watching TV, every channel plays the same show, the same episode of the same show. It's black and white, characters without name. The plot eludes me. I drift in and out of awful sleep. Memories from a past life. A rubber tube, cans of tuna, sandwich filled with sand, a burning sun, the end of time. She took me to the cinema. It was a basement in which someone had placed plastic chairs, a clean screen, and the back a projection booth. The door to the cinema was hidden in the wall. One put one's lips to the small hole in the wall and whispered the password, after which the door was opened. Then a narrow flight of stairs, a hallway lit with neon, a curtained archway, behind the curtain the cinema. We sat in chairs and drank Coke. The film was experimental softcore porn. It reduced me to tears. My friend patted my hand and offered me a tissue. I blew my nose into it. After the movie, we went back up into the sunlight. Later in my hotel room, she asked me what I had thought of the picture, meaning not the movie, but the photos he had shown me at the cafe. A boy tried to sell us cotton candy. Someone lobbed a paintball at me. It splattered on my cheek, dripping black paint down one side of me. A dog fight, and I wake to a dog's carcass sweating in the street. It's black with flies. The drones overhead aren't drones at all. They are birds, emptied of their animal organs, gutted, turned into machines. These birds, as drones, represent a symbolic expansion of the network's omnivore. A sofa in a doctor's office, black leather, a patient, the nervous secretary, a dangerous man. He had given me the key to the city, which is not a gift, but a cure. Unlike most other Hitchcock films, Frenzy doesn't speculate about motive or psychology. It's content to simply present the killer, let him speak through his actions, stalking like a cipher, unreadable sign. And the closest we come to explanation is a single line, spoken at a bar at lunchtime by a doctor chatting with a friend. He says, "Religious and sexual mania are closely linked." When this moment arrives, I hit pause, then I play it again at half speed, quarter speed, 1/8. The terrible words distort in the pixel mouth, elongate, become, as I knew they were, something else, something new entirely. The secret thing buried under the thing. I write this line behind my knee. The horror of spirals is the horror of screams. My hotel room was broken into. I knew this from the dust on the floor in front of the door, which had been disturbed. There were 3 of them, men, and they had been in my room, looking for something, looking for me. Safe, I sat with satisfaction on my bed. The same show was still playing on TV. I tried to pick up where I had left off, but as always, that smooth surface evaded me. I was sent here on business. I had sworn when I was young never to come back here again. It is the story is the best of us. Alone in my room, I count my cards, I study my wounds. This is Greasy City. Grease drips from the walls and rises in plants. The trees breathe grease, we eat grease. Look at the goats, look at the hyenas, look at the faces of the babies in prams. Grease. I plugged her mouth with a red letter ball. We used to play cricket with it. There is a clicking in the air. It is generated by the air itself. Sound without source. We're living in a hologram. This clicking is the proof. This man trails a scent. It comes from a secret organ in him, the organ that was implanted in him, placed there by an unknown hand. And though it shows up on x-rays, it's never there when they open him. He's made his peace, accepted that he's a bin for someone else's things. Every now and then he is abducted, gone for days, and when he wakes up, he's in a foreign landscape. The landscape disintegrates as soon as he walks away. He's a walking experiment, turning experience into data, numbers, strings. There were sirens, we hid. The training manuals had predicted a blast. Instead, silence, total unworldly silence. The first of us to creep out rose into a yellow sun, unnatural vista, the scream of a ubiquitous machine. A psychotropic, monomaniacal killer, he regenerates each time he dies, over and over and over again. My friend is a researcher. She tells me this, the thing that I had suspected, as we were walking in a park one day. We were walking through toxic, congested streets, holding hands, wet with sweat. In the park, we cool off on the eucalyptus shade. There, she tells me she is on assignment. She looks at me. She has been sent to watch over me. And I, what I don't tell her, to watch her back. The envelopes under our doors were identical. The certainty comes to me before sleep. Summer nights, scatter of stars in the sky, coyotes, jackals, crickets. A locust swarm gathering in number and strength. All the buildings collapse. They do this simultaneously. A drawer full of cassettes. Pause this movie. Freeze this frame. Her mouth hangs open in an O. The gutters overflow. There it is, the photograph she showed me on that day. I watched it drift on the river of shit. That neck, the vertical angle, a woman's face defined in sharp lines. I stare at the photo until I, piercing event horizon, become a pixel myself. She is a woman much abused. There she is now, fretting over a pot of tea. There are people in her living room who want tea. I tell her to pee into the tea. What is the significance of Janet Leigh's face, slumped against the bathroom floor? The mango tree, roots drenched in blood, it produces blood mangoes. Slice this mango, suck its red blood seed. Her face as she dies is an incredible picture, eyes wide open, tongue sticking out of her mouth like a lizard. Her tongue is a fat lizard, it claws out of her mouth eventually, just after the moment of this frame, sipping unseen out of the movie. Part of my assignment, I watch her in her sleep. She doesn't know why she dreams of me every night. Waking, she texts me, "You're in my dream again." I was in her room again, sitting on a plastic chair drinking water, taking a photo every 21.5 minutes. The killer in Frenzy is a greengrocer, a neighborhood staple, a family man. He's kind, he's gentle, First he rapes his victim, then he strangles her with a necktie. She had seen aliens descending from the sky, crisp oblongs, the static blare of car radios. Walking, floating, sinking, hovering, to be exist in one dimension. The others are illusions. Why did he do it? No one knows. The question is nonsense. This question is insane. A black leather couch, green cardigan, white bra, a necklace with a cross on it. I lie on the rooftop, she lies on top of me. Underneath her I suffocate, with the heat, with the smell, with the unbearable premonition of a bee, lowering its sting into my ear. This is the ascension of the parasites. Everywhere we go, we see parasites. Leaning over the sink, clutching the sides with knuckles turning white, trying to vomit, being unable. She is in my former city. She is a sensation, felt in the moments just before sleep. My former city, an amalgam of night terrors, lost films, empty buildings, mud roads, a storm that never comes, sick infants, a whisper from lips that don't exist. The man in frenzy made a mistake. He leaves a pin on his necktie, and the necktie around the victim's neck. It's a strip beige tie. He dumps the corpse in a potato sack on the back of a truck. The truck starts moving. He's forgotten about the tie on her neck. He has to jump onto the truck again, rip open the sack, spilling potatoes onto the road. The thing is in me. Trying to drown it, I drink countless cups of tea. It makes me sick. Sickened, I slough about the city like a ghost, like a corpse, like a dog covered in fleas. This enables me to face my enemies. Suddenly fearless, I stalk through the streets, feeling nothing, feeling my intestines bleeding out of me. Red light hotel is blinking into life. The sign crackles on, dripping neon. A woman pushes a man off the rooftop. They will find his body in the morning. Where did it come from? This body is obscene. My throat ripped to shreds. The edges of my lips sting with acid. They are rubbing this acid onto my face, on my legs, under my eyelids in my sleep. Again and again, I open the envelope, read the contents, sign my name. Again and again, on the dotted line. Again and again, my instructions, terrible instructions. I want to drink gasoline. In this dream, there is a wound in my knee. It's my left knee, the one that freezes in my sleep. I wake each morning to a painful frozen knee. In the dream, it had been cut open with a switchblade. The inside of my knee was like a pomegranate filled with seeds. The man wakes in a foreign hotel in a hot land. Every pore in his body is sweating. The seats are wet. The room smells of him. He walks up to the reception desk. He asks for water, a glass of clean, ice-cold water. The boy at the desk does not understand. There's a corpse in the next room. It's bloating in the heat. She flips a switch and the wall cracks open. Something is emerging from the crack, a large wet hand. Gunshots in the afternoon, the smell of blood saturates the wind. To watch potatoes tumbling from a truck, to touch a potato that rested between dead breasts. It made for a strange romance, me watching her, she watching me. This is the reason we never became friends. We play ping pong together, we play Mario Kart, we watch sunsets and inhale toxic air. Our lungs suffer similar defeats. I am at this instant, in these passing moments, developing the disease which will kill me. I used to enjoy killing cockroaches. I liked to step on them and hear the crack of the exoskeleton, the grey ooze and the mushed organs. Then I became soft, sensitive and weak. I have met my match. It's a man dressed in black. A basement filled with mainframes, generating heat. We lay down on the rooftop. We played in the heat. On top of me, she turned into a coyote. Light a fire in my chest. Strike me like a paper match. The woman pushing the man off the roof is watched by another. This other slips away unseen. Sweating in the noon heat, playing Pac-Man, drinking tea. A woman walking a poodle on the street. Take aim from your window. Aim for the poodle's knee. Entire lifetimes in this motel room. Look at the walls. Look at them breathing. And the universe has memory. Stored in trees, in leaves, in storm cycles, in textures of heat. I broke into the basement, hacked the mainframe, rewrote the codes. The earth is trembling beneath our feet. Waiting at an airport, sitting at an airport chair, surrounded by the men in black, drinking coffee, staying sane. My bags are at my feet, where I can see them. There are bombs in the bag, I can feel them. A tube reaches to my mouth and tentacles the air for your face. And that was that. Yeah. So the last piece I have to read is an excerpt from Alien. Alien is a manuscript I finished the summer after I left here, and I've been sort of refining it and tweaking a bit over the year. It's about an alien hunter in a city infested with literal aliens. I'm reading from the middle section, which I think captures the flavor of most of the text. We start just as the alien hunter is about to encounter an opposing group who are also searching for aliens. You'll also meet a character called the Shadow. The Shadow is a demonic entity who's a relay between the alien hunter and whoever is running the show. They communicate, the alien hunter and the Shadow group, with a device called Poet's Radio, which is a machine for interdimensional communication, or it might just be a broken radio, we're not sure. Another character who pops up is Q. She's an average citizen and the alien hunter's friend. Alright, so I'm going to start. The walk back to my house is dreary, chalky, night birds, big racket. As I turn into my neighborhood, the whistle of a train cuts the air. It's the new train, the one they built through the center of the city. I imagine a figure framed in the doorway, outlined in yellow light. He's pushed from behind. It's in a dumpster. I feel it before I see it. The blue body, the oval eyes, its skin emits a hot glow. We are face to face now. We make eye contact. I am looking into its eyes, and something passes from it to me. I swallow something tactile in my throat, prickly like thorns in a rose. The air is buzzing, filled with bees. I block it out. I screen all sound. My world contracts to the alien immediately before me. I snap on the black gloves and stretch out my hand. The space between us turns hard. I fit an invisible barrier, then I've passed through. Along my wrists, a line of blue heat. There's a blast, and I'm knocked backwards. Fly several feet through the air before landing on my back, snapping muscles and minor bones. Everything is bright light and noise. Thump of helicopters, men's voices shouting, radio static. The lights resolve into a pair of floodlights trained from the bottom of the choppers. The choppers hover over the dumpster, let down lines of rope. Men in red suits slink down the ropes. They look like carpenter ants. The men in red surround the dumpster in an oval, 2 AK-47s per man. Their suits are sleek and well-fitting, tailor-made for sure. Tie pin on every tie, red brogues, a gas mask over every face. The choppers continue to hover overhead, floodlights trained on the dumpster, on the alien cowering in the trash. One of the men steps forward, breaking formation. A floodlight scooches onto him. He flicks his wrist in the air and a Ziploc bag appears in it. With a pair of tongs, he grabs the alien by the waist and drops it into the Ziploc, which he Ziplocs. The alien's upside down in the bag, large eyes at the bottom, hooved feet by the zip. The men in red lean their guns against their legs and applaud primly. Then they're gone in 3 seconds, back up the ropes and into the helicopters, the floodlights flicking off. The helicopters stealth now, soundless now. There's a final hissing sound. Plumes of white phosphor uncoil in the air. I climb out of the gutter where I fell, run away, so I'm not alone. I'm not alone. In my bedroom, broken back, I yell into Poet's Radio, defying physics, defying everything. I'm bleeding from my nose. It's silent on Poet's Radio. It's dawn when I fall asleep. Pain wakes me and I go to the hospital. Across the uncharted waste of space, M Hospital. 3 people to every bed, flies in the operating room, fish on the floor. I take a taxi back home. The cabbie shares his fentanyl with me, which I use medicinally. I paint the red M on my forehead, my defiant gesture, my gesture of rebellion. My sessions are more violent now, more focused. I'm all the time concentrating, walking the streets with my eyes to the ground, nerves firing, skin alive, hair prickling. I study each electron, gather samples of air. I shut my eyes at random spots, send out heat flares. Listen to the thrum beat of blood, all the sounds trapped in things. I'm good at this, coaxing voices out of wood, releasing the past. The trees like talking to me. We have long extended chats. I was in Mars Market when it blew up. I wasn't the one who bombed it, but I knew it was coming. The ground started to shiver, that was how I knew. And the sky, the birds, they could have seen it in the birds. Always look at the birds. Doesn't everyone know this? For a moment I stood still in the center of the market, looking upwards at the birds. Their cries drowned by the market, its noise. Then I flew on. Blood in the drains, blood in the taps. I run myself a shower and the water comes out red. In the morning, I clipped a report of the bombing from the newspaper, add it to my incidental file. It's slim. I'm severe about my clippings. Every morning, I sit on the veranda in my slippers and review my incidental dossier. A kite falls by my feet, carried by the wind. I pick it up. The string is hard with powdered glass. It cuts me and I bleed. Something melancholy in me. I'm mourning something, mourning her, mourning a thing I'm not aware of. My cut finger stings. A donkey dying in the street. I go to the remains of Mars Market, SARS on the street, everything starting back up again. FF and I used to come here. I go to the corner with the ice cream stand. I eat a vanilla cone, other flavors, chocolate, cherry, vanilla, chocolate, cherry swirl. The ice cream man chats with me. He asks me about my friend. He means FF. We talk about things, what happened in Mars Market, the weather, the constant smog. He tells me about the thing he saw yesterday. Right here, he says, pointing at my feet. Right here where you're standing now. I saw a strange thing, a child, but it wasn't blue. But it was blue. The child's body was totally blue. The man said he'd fled. He hadn't stopped for a good look. But I knew better. As he talks, his eyes shimmer. The glitz is dancing in his eyes. I drop my ice cream in the trash. The shadow is gliding next to me. It's in a coat that flaps as it moves, red on the inside, black on the out. Top hat, gloves. With one hand, it scatters cards on the street. An ace, diamond, kings and queens. You're a fool, he says to me. Increase your work cards, find them, do as I say. The words unfurl in front of me in cursive. There's nervousness inside me. Look, I stutter. Why didn't you tell me there were others? The shadow pauses. Everything freezes. I feel ice form along my surface. The shadow is all I can see, its faceless face, coming closer. There aren't. These words get trapped in my skin. Q asks me why I'm holding the Joker. I offer it to her as a gift. Q and I are at a restaurant. It's in the new district, the one they built the train for. It ships residents from the district to the city and out again, near and far and near at the same time. Safe distances. The Joker I've given Q is hanging from her pocket, sticking its tongue out at me, juggling pink juggling balls. The railway system is collapsing, I know. I don't recognize the names on the menu. I order what Q orders. Each minute I spend in this air-conditioned room, I fall a little more out of my skin. We found the secret room in the fort, Q tells me. The fort is in the old city, monument, tourist trap. I've been there on a million dates. Our food arrives, charred vegetables, something clotted to drink. A secret room, I ask? Q tells me, a team of archaeologists discovered it. It's fascinating and alarming, but she won't tell me why. You have to see it to believe it. So it's settled. We pick a date. I pop a piece of lemon in my mouth. Q asks me what I've been doing, if I've found the job yet. The question makes me pause. I don't like it. I don't like to lie to my friends. Q's frank eyes. I look at the table, at the grain of its wood. The evening air is cool, sweet. Someone enters and then exits the cafe. I tell Q I haven't found a job yet. A black crow perches on the back of its chair. I look at it, it looks at me. It's an ordinary crow. I think of my friends. Q, B, C, O, P. I even consider the shadow my friend, though we're separated by entire planes of reality. Q pays the bill, though I don't want her to. We take separate trains home. The floor of the train unsteady beneath my feet. I've heard horror stories of the floor of the train falling clean away, death on the express. Black on the veranda, smell of imminent rain, the sky descending. A crow calls and I remember FF. FF, my femme fatale. They killed her. Who killed her? They did it because they could, and because concepts, when they are before their time, must suffocate, must die. They're sacrificed like sea. Within conditions of impossibility, which conditions? These conditions. Exhausted from a long day, I curl up on the ground, fall asleep. I'm enveloped by queasy dreams. In one dream, a crow lands on my chest and begins feasting on me. It dips its beak into my sockets like into an inkwell, eating my eyes. I wake to a beeping alarm, neither low nor high in even pitch, one single frequency. I ooze into the red hole of Poet's radio. These are urgent, excited messages. I scrawl at a furious rate. The garbled, distorted voices, overlapping, cancelling and amplifying, layered with the sound of the hills. It unfurls a lengthy exposition which I collect on the plane of the page. The hunt is afoot. I race through the night. Wrapped in the smog, I am the smog. Sleeping through the night, dispossessed. My antennae poised and quivering, picking up the signals, reading the signs. A dead person hunting for signs of life. Poet's radio was right, things are lively tonight. Concepts are organic matter like cells. Pausing in a gutter to examine a body, I dwell on this. My thoughts, her thoughts. It's just a child. I turn her over with my shoe. There is drool bubbling over the corner of her lips. I smell it. It smells rancid. A bullet clips my ear. The car overturns, wheels spinning in the air like cockroach legs. Burning rubber, petrol smell, sound of a machete dragging across concrete. I observe the carnage from a rooftop, lying flat on my belly. My vision is distorted, things are red. I'm looking through a heat maze. These bodies are magnesium flares. I squint through it, white fog. Then that in the distance, a rupture in the air. I'm there, sucked through a vacuum tube that shoots out to me on the other side of the signal. The street is quiet, sleeping. It's beneath a banyan tree. It's been injured. I crouch down near its alien frame, forgetting my caution. It's a small blue body, exactly like the others. With my index finger, I touch its protruding belly. It's hot. My finger comes away scorched, burning with light. The thing is looking at me with its large oval eyes, calm, curious. I sense a humming like bees. It wriggles its fingers and toes. The alien's mouth spreads in a smile. Something begins to come out of it, a bug, fat and disgorged like a cockroach, maybe even a lizard, black and also smiling. The moment pauses and distends. The following has been schooled in me, implanted in me. I tap the air and a panel appears. Key the code onto its fat red buttons, the switchboard of the cosmos. A cone of cloudy white light pops over the alien, encapsulating it, then they both disappear. It's a slow fade. The blue alien lightens, loses color, becomes translucent, then finally disappears, sucked up by the cone of light. It's gone into the portal. I know of the portal. The portal transports to disintegration. This is what happened to me. My cells were uncombined, then recombined. I was on the other side, in the presence of the syndicate. I experienced the syndicate as a black field, a plain of darkness over an otherwise even bright. The darkness deep like velvet and undulant. Then when I returned, I could hear Poet's radio, and the interim is a false memory. I wake up on my back, in bed, pigeons outside my window. I lie in the damp heat, completely still, twisting my sweat. I lock my alien in my notebook. I give it a serial number and unique ID. The thing that was coming out of it, a lizard or a cockroach, dark in a blue body, fat and slimy. I wish I had touched it. I think of the syndicate. The syndicate is an affect in me like a force field. I think of the syndicate often, but these thoughts are never good for me. That's all I have.